Free agent center Myles Turner has now agreed to a 4-year, $107 million deal with the Bucks, plus a player option for year 4. Bucks then went ahead and waived Damian Lillard, $113 million on his contract. That was in order to acquire Myles Turner. Well, we're here to assume now Giannis Antetokounmpo is going to stay in Milwaukee.
On July 1st, 2025, the Milwaukee Bucks did something nobody saw coming. A decision so wild, so cold-blooded, and so risky that it shook the entire NBA to its core. They waived Damian Lillard, a future Hall of Famer, and signed Myles Turner to a 4-year, $17 million deal. And just like that, the Bucks flipped the Eastern Conference upside down. But this wasn't just a salary dump. This was surgery on a broken roster. A franchise backed into a corner with no easy way out. But to understand how we got here, you have to rewind to April 27th, Game 4 of the first round against Indiana. Damian Lillard was out there, giving everything he had. After recovering from a dangerous blood clot condition, he was trying to help Milwaukee avoid elimination. And then, disaster. Just 5 minutes into the game, Dame went up for a rebound, and his Achilles tore. The reaction on the court was heartbreaking. "I can't believe I'm here," he said. "I'm not going out this way." And yet, that's exactly what happened. While Dame's body gave out, Myles Turner was entering the best stretch of his life. The Pacers stunned the East. They made their first finals appearance in 25 years. Turner averaged 15.6 points, 2 blocks, and had insane 48/77 shooting splits during the playoffs. His timing, his effort, his loyalty, it all paid off. 10 years in Indiana, and finally, the glory. But just 4 minutes into Game 7 of the finals, Indiana's dream turned into a nightmare. Tyrese Halliburton collapsed, another torn Achilles. And with that, the Pacers' championship window slammed shut. Everything changed overnight. Their GM had promised to keep the core together. They even said re-signing Turner was the top priority. But without Halliburton for the upcoming season, Indiana had no reason to pay the luxury tax. Suddenly, Turner wasn't a priority. He was an expense. The man who bled Pacers blue for a decade became a cap casualty. They offered him a low-ball deal, around $20 million per year. And Turner's reaction? You feel rejected. You feel like your value doesn't hold the same weight you thought it did. Heartbreaking, now Indiana is expected to chase DeAndre Ayton, a guy known more for his laziness than his leadership. A guy who was playing 2K the night before a finals game. But hey, he's cheaper now. That's business. Meanwhile, in Milwaukee, panic Brook Lopez signed with the Clippers. Dame was out for the year, and Giannis, he was suddenly uncertain about his future. The Bucks needed a big move fast. That's when GM Jon Horst pulled off the most aggressive financial maneuver in NBA history. He used the stretch provision on Lillard's contract. Dame had $113 million left, but by waiving and stretching him, Milwaukee spread that cap hit over 5 years. That's $22.5 million in dead money per year until 2030. 14% of their cap gone, just so they could stay flexible. And sign Turner. Let's be clear, this has never been done at this scale. But maybe it had to be. Dame is 35, fresh off a torn Achilles, and was set to make $54 million next season, even with all the heart and talent in the world. That's a brutal cap number for a team that just lost its defensive anchor. Myles Turner, on the other hand, he's 29. He just came off the best year of his career. 15 points, 6 rebounds, 2 blocks, and nearly 40% from 3. And defensively, he's one of only 4 players in league history to record 100 blocks, 100 threes, and 50 steals in a season. He's entering his prime, and the Bucks got him for a bargain. So what's the problem? Well, Giannis wasn't happy. In fact, when the move was announced, he tweeted, "I have no idea what's going on right now, man. Think about that." The franchise makes this aggressive. Nuclear move to keep their superstar happy, and their superstar is confused, maybe even upset. Reportedly, Giannis had been in contact with Turner before the move, trying to convince him to join. But no. One expected it to come at Dame's expense. And to be fair, Giannis and Dame had chemistry. Before the injury, Milwaukee's big three of Dame, Giannis, and Middleton posted a ridiculous +18 net rating. On paper, they were dominant. And in Game 1 of the playoffs, Dame dropped 35 points in the first half. He was still that guy, but now it's over. Milwaukee chose age, durability, and flexibility over loyalty and flash. They took the hit now to survive later. And in doing so, they made one of the boldest moves this league has ever seen. Whether it's genius or a disaster waiting to happen, one thing's for sure, this move will define the next 5 years of Bucks basketball. When the Milwaukee Bucks traded Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma, it raised eyebrows, but in the context of what happened next, it made perfect sense. Doc Rivers had reportedly carved out dedicated practice sessions to build a two-man game between Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo. And just before Lillard's injury, it was working. They were finally finding their rhythm. So when the front office pulled the plug waving Dame just weeks later, no wonder. Giannis was blindsided. But if you look deeper, the Bucks made this move with cold, calculated precision. It wasn't emotional. It was strategic. Myles Turner brings something this roster desperately lacked: interior defense, shot blocking, and elite floor spacing. Something Damian Lillard, for all his greatness, simply couldn't offer. And that shift from offense first to defense first. A formula that wins championships. Historically, teams that make this kind of shift have a 65% higher playoff success rate during their title windows. And make no mistake, Milwaukee's window was slamming shut since winning the championship in 2021. The Bucks have been bounced. In the first round 3 straight years, they've won just 1 playoff series in 4 seasons, while burning through nearly $940 million in player salaries and luxury tax payments. That's an unsustainable path. With this single move waving, Dame in signing Turner, the Bucks saved close to $200 million over 4 years. And unlike their previous blockbuster trades for Drew Holiday and Lillard, they didn't have to give up a single draft pick. They keep their future assets, maintain flexibility, and finally address their biggest flaw on the court. But while this move makes sense for Milwaukee, it leaves Damian Lillard in a devastating spot at 35 years old. Coming off a torn Achilles, Dame's market value has hit rock bottom. And due to the NBA's waive and stretch rules, he's not allowed to re-sign with the Bucks until after his original contract expires. In 2027, that effectively closes the door on a Milwaukee reunion. So, what's next? One possibility is a return to Portland on a veteran minimum, where he can rehab in peace, surrounded by his family. Another is Miami, his original trade destination. But at this stage, it's unlikely any contender will gamble big on a 35-year-old guard coming off one of the most devastating injuries in sports. The sad truth. Lillard's championship dreams, the very reason he asked out of Portland, might be over. 2 years, no finals appearances, and a career possibly ending on a waiver wire. It's a cruel twist for a player who gave everything chasing that elusive ring. But for Milwaukee, this is a reset. Boston is out of the picture this season. Indiana just lost Tyrese Halliburton for the year. The Cavs are on the rise, and Milwaukee had to act. With Turner in the lineup, they now have the rim protection to match up against elite Eastern Conference bigs and the spacing to keep Giannis effective. This move alone has already bumped them from 8th to 4th in championship odds. It's a higher risk, higher reward gamble. They sacrificed a fan favorite, disrupted chemistry, and committed to nearly $23 million. A year in dead cap until 2030. But if Turner stays healthy and delivers what Milwaukee needs defensively, could end up being the boldest smart move of the entire offseason.